In this video, we'll take a look at some new features that were recently added to LPC-Live. The version I'll be showing in this video is version 1.0.7, and current users should have received an email to update to this version. If you didn't, please contact support. There's a couple new functions on the mode select page. The first is load clip, and that'll load clips from the browser onto the selected track. Alright, so here I've got track 1 selected. I'll go into the browser and select some clips, and then load them with load clip. Alright, the next is duplicate, and that's just a standard duplicate keystroke. The first change is with the color of the scale pads. Green LEDs indicate where the root notes fall. In this case, I've got a C minor scale, so green is where the C's fall. Alright, this just helps you get oriented with the various scale types. The next change is with the sustain button. That works just like before, it works like a sustain pedal. Alright, but if you press it twice, it'll toggle sustain mode. In sustain mode, the last note you play will sustain until you play a new note or until you turn the mode off. Alright, and this works with add notes as well. Alright, and the last change is there's now 2 sub modes. The first is play 16, where you've got 16 scale pads to work with, and the next is play 48, where you've got 48 scale pads to work with. Here there was just one change with the sustain button, just like in scale mode, so you have access to the sustain mode here as well. In this mode, you can monophonically step sequence into MIDI clips. And this is useful for creating lead lines, bass lines, pad lines, basically anywhere where an instrument would just be playing one note at a time. Alright, this mode is split into 5 sub-modes. The first of those, and the one you'll be in when you initially enter this mode, is main edit. Alright, and then there's also 4 step edit modes where you edit the parameters of the steps. Alright, I'm actually going to show you those first. You can access the step edit sub-modes with these 4 buttons here. And all of these share a similar layout. The bottom row of buttons shows you where you are in the sequence. It could also be used for turning on and off steps. And if you press the mod button, that's this button here, you can select the bar to edit. Right now we're in the first bar. This supports editing up to 8 bars. The upper 7 row of buttons can be used for editing the step parameter. In this mode, you're going to be editing the scale degree. That's going to choose which note the step plays. Alright, and this uses scale quantization, so the steps you'll be turning on will be quantized to a particular scale. By default, that's C minor, but you can change that. Alright, but for now, these will select the notes in a C minor scale. Alright, next is octave. Alright, next is velocity. And then last is length. You can also randomize the step parameters. To show you that, I'm going to go back to scale degree, and we'll randomize that. Alright, next I'm going to show you the resolution control. First I'm going to change this sequence a little bit. Alright, right now I'm working with 8th notes and editing 1 bar at a time. You can also zoom in, and here you'll work with 16th notes, and you'll edit a half bar at a time. So right now I'm looking at the first half of the bar. I'm going to move to the second half and add some 16th notes. Alright, you can zoom back out again. Alright, back to main edit. With the upper row of buttons up here, you can choose the bar to edit. These buttons here will choose the bar or bar to loop. If you press the mod button, these buttons can be used for copying and pasting. So you can copy the current bar and paste it into the second bar, for example. Also, when the mod button is pressed down, this button will reverse notes. Alright, and this button over here will randomize all the parameters of the notes. With this keyboard, you can edit the scale degrees. To show you how this works, I'm going to select a different clip that has a scale in it, and I'll play this so we have a reference. Alright, so that's just playing a C minor scale, which is the default. Alright, there's 2 built-in scale types. There's the minor scale and then the major scale. Alright, to show you what happens when we switch to the major scale, you can see some of the columns are blanked out, and what that indicates is there's a note there, but it falls outside of the scale that we defined. Alright, so we can fix that here just by turning on the steps, and now we've got a C major scale. Alright, you can also define your own scale types. I'll do a blues scale here. All right, and you can see I've only turned on 6 degrees, and what that means is when I go back to scale degrees here, there's only going to be 6 choices. All right, there's not a 7th note here because I only turned on 6 of the degrees. All right, so I'll do a blue scale here. All right, and with this keyboard here, you can define the root note. Right now that's C. I could switch to F, for example. And you can see here that's going to scramble the layout because we switched the root note. And I'm also going to switch up the octaves.